What's going on, everybody? Sorry, that was a little loud. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Life of the Lost. As always, I am Sam.
And I'm Megan.
And this is another week of our podcast.
Yeah, and for those who are new here, we are two Peruvian adoptees living in New York City, just kind of talking, ranting, expressing our feelings about life and everything. So,
yep, and it is a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah. So, let's do the ups and the downs of the week.
All right.
Pros and cons, ups and downs. I had a different word for it earlier, but I can't think of it.
Pros and cons? That's what you used last week? No? Or was that not?
Yeah, pros and cons, ups and downs. Highs and lows.
Highs and lows.
I like that better. Highs and lows of this week. Kind of like a temperature or something.
Yeah. I know how you love temperature.
I'm always talking. You and Maya are always asking me, what's the temperature right now? I'm like, oh my god.
You've grown this fascination with extremities in temperature, more specifically with cold.
Yeah, and it's funny because my cold is different than your cold. And so you're like, is it cold outside? I'm like, I'm not really sure compared to what your version of cold is.
And what's funny is that you are cold now and I'm not.
Yeah. It's pretty cold.
Anyways.
It's the coldest it's been in New York City. Sorry, okay, I'm going off. Highs and lows of this week. A low is a little bit personal. But this week, there was like a big family fight in your family. And so that was...
how could I forget?
That kind of took over 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, that...
And mentally it was just really mentally draining.
Yeah.
So that was a low. A high for this week, I think just learning and understanding how Maya's becoming more... she's getting older and she's understanding things more. So I just appreciate being able to express myself in like more of a mature way. So when you were kind of handling the fight situation with your family, I was going in and I was telling her like, oh man, I'm just really overwhelmed. And she's like, why? And I was just laying on her ground on her cute little carpet, and she was painting. We were hanging out, and I was just explaining, kind of trying to not explain the situation because it's in detail and it's not like nothing I want her to worry about. But I was just trying to explain it so she could understand. And I made an analogy about slime and this and that, and it was just nice because she understood.
Yeah, and sorry about speaking of Maya. I just wanted to show you this Christmas tree.
Oh,
picture of her.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh.
Our Christmas tree's better. Sorry. I can be like that.
Gotta one up everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just really appreciate Maya and how she's kind of like just being more understanding. And another kind of up that I love this week is that walking to school with Maya has been really cool because she has all of these questions and she has all of these comments and concerns, and it's really nice to hear. So this week we talked about cancer. We talked about drugs and why they're illegal. We talked about next play mentality that Sam always talks about. And it was really nice because she's just such a curious person. I just really, as much as I sometimes hate getting her ready in the morning because she drives me crazy, we drive each other crazy. She yelled at me this week too. She's like, all right, I get it. You don't have to tell me every single time.
Yo, she's been showing some attitude. Like I specifically remember 2 times.
Yeah, and after she said that, I was so caught off guard. I was like, oh, you're annoyed? Imagine how I feel telling the same person the same
what
thing
did she say
every single time.
And she said one time, like, you were talking to her and she's like, all right, I got it.
Yeah, that might have been the same thing.
Or she was mad at me. Or like, I think because I said something to her.
Yeah, it was
I was
it
like,
was
do
crazy.
your homework. She's like, all right. I was like, oh.
She's such a good kid though, because compared to some of these kids I see on the sidewalk fighting with their parents down the road, it's just like,
they're
holy
bad,
shit.
some of them. Mm-hmm.
This one girl was like, I hate you. I'm going to tell all my friends what a terrible mother I have. Oh yeah, sorry, one more. I shouldn't go first because I have so much to say. One more like down was that you were super sick this week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I lost a day, man. I'm really upset about that. I lost like 2 days because I wasn't in my peak focusing self, because part of it was
You were napping, and you never nap.
I literally was out of commission for 1 day, but I feel like 1 or 2 days prior, I felt it, and it was affecting me. So, but it's kind of over now, which I'm really enjoying.
It's all my onion water.
It might be. It might be because I got better real quick. And you know what it was? I expelled. For the first time in my life, I felt like when I was blowing my nose, I felt like I was expelling. It was like so weird. The toxins, like it somehow lodged all in my fucking sinus, and then it just completely came out. Like I've never experienced that. Normally it gets like lost in my throat, you know, and it's hard to get in. Yeah. I started to get out. You have to really like hawk it out. But this time it literally just found its way. And it knew where to go, and my body, it felt so good.
They say that that's what onions are supposed to like rid toxins.
Yeah, because when I blew my nose, my favorite thing honestly was blowing my nose in the morning, because somehow I felt it. You know when you get a good one and you feel it in the middle of your fucking head.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I felt every morning. Like that it got bad. I was like, and it felt so good because like just the thought that like all these like
bacteria, germs are kind of getting out. Yeah, I was making Sam like all of these homemade remedies instead of taking medicine. And you took medicine one time for
I tried it.
A fever. You had a bad fever one morning, so that was the one time. Yeah, you're skeptic, but you were a champ though.
I believed you.
You did everything that I gave you.
A skeptic gotta prove. You gotta try it before you
knock it.
Yeah.
All right, what's your turn?
Yes.
Highs and lows.
Highs and lows. Well, lows would be obviously that dilemma I had with my mom and about some family issues that have been plaguing my life for my whole life, and I felt that I needed to say something finally, and I did. And it was tough, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about it, but I'm really glad in the end that I was able to express how I feel, and that meant a lot to me. But like I said, it was very rough, and I think to me that was the high and low. Obviously, another low would be getting sick, but also another high would be I'm on vacation, and work has been really stressful for me, and it's nice to be able to just take a deep breath and kind of just relax a little. Understand, there's a lot of personal pressure to focus on my passion and what I love to do. And it's hard because, when you feel like you're always working, you feel like you can never rest. And when you are trying to work after work, it's really hard. So the minute that you find time to just not do your 9-to-5 job, is kind of, you equally want to rest your mind as much as work on your craft. So it can be very stressful at times dealing with that. And I'm just happy that I've had enough, this is a very extended vacation, and I'm just really grateful just for it. And I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot what I was saying.
We have the TV on in front of us. Is that distracting you, Sam? We're watching all the games that are playing right now. Right now it's Philadelphia and the Cowboys.
Sorry. Yeah, no, maybe. All right, I'll try.
Maybe it was me distracting you because I got up real quick.
Yeah, I was looking at you in the side, and I got distracted. Not, I think maybe both of them. But yeah, so that was my highs and lows. So.
All right, so let's get into it. I want to say a few days ago, I learned something new about you, and I love that I did. It's always interesting because I feel like we've known each other since we were 13, and so I like when I learn something new about you. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, how did I not know that? We'll start off with you telling me what your Chipotle order is. Your go-to every time.
Triple chicken, lettuce, pico de gallo, the veggies, cheese, and lettuce. Did I say lettuce already?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And did they give you a hard time when you go and grab your chicken?
Yes. They always ask me, it's extra, right? That's what they always say.
They kind of make it a big deal.
You sure? Huh? It's like, they have to hear it 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. And then they have to tell me it's extra. But I understand why they tell me, but I equally don't, because I'm just like, I've come in there a lot, but then that's expecting for them to know me. But still, I don't know. Like, if somebody's asking for extra, I think it's presumed, and considering I think it's on their menu, that it is extra.
Yeah. And I feel like they've probably just gotten burned before with people saying things.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I didn't know. If I knew, okay, make me a new burrito.
It's like, I don't know you like that, so I'm not asking you to, like, give me one. Like, what's it called? Like, pull one over or something?
Yeah,
like,
pull one over.
Yeah. Well, that's the opposite version. They think I'm trying to pull one over on them by being like, come on, man. Like, as if they're my friend or something.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, because I don't, I wouldn't do that to some random person like that, because to me that'd be stressful.
I also think that they kind of get surprised. They're like caught off guard. They're like, oh shit, he wants triple chicken. Like, because a lot of the time when I order that and you're not there, I go up to the front. They're like, I don't really know. Like, hey, like, she ordered triple chicken. They're like, it doesn't matter, just do double. And some of them are like, no, like, this is how you do it. And like, a lot of people have never put that even in the system before.
And it's like they act like it's so much, because not only do I not, my orders change too, so I don't get rice or beans. Mm-hmm. I get extra chicken, so I'm filling up more on my protein, but it's not necessarily more calories, because beans and rice have a lot more. I'd be surprised. I think what do you think? A grilled chicken is like maybe 400 or 500 calories, because I get triple chicken. Mm-hmm. And like what a chicken breast is, what do you say, like calorie wise? Like a chicken breast is like 40 calories, sure. Maybe 250 calories, 40 grams of chicken. Yeah, let me look it up right now. Hold on, I want to know. I'm putting myself on the test right now. I mark my words. What I say?
I think. You said 40.
40 grams and then you of protein.
Said, okay, there we go. 40 grams of protein.
Grams of calories.
Oh, right. 40 grams of protein, really? That seems like a lot.
I know, but it's a lot. It's like it's the leanest meat of the chicken. All right, let's check. My fucking sausage fingers. One chicken.
Sam jokes around about having sausage fingers.
No, because you joked around about it. I didn't hear it. My fingers are big until
you said you like that Maya doesn't have sausage fingers like you one day.
Yeah,
and
right?
That's what I was.
Oh, okay. So this is what it is. A chicken, 100 grams serving of a chicken breast provides 160 calories.
Oh, so you're close on that.
31 grams of protein. So I'm close on both. I said
both.
40 grams of protein and 250 calories. So that means that if I hypothetically eat 2 chicken breasts, that's like 160.
And they for sure don't give you 2 chicken breasts.
So it could be like I said, like 250 calories around, and like 40 grams of protein. So it did wear out for me. I added it for me.
Yeah.
And so and that's leaner than rice and beans, I think. Like less calories or just as much, but definitely way more protein, which gives me way more of a filling feeling. And it holds me down instead of these kind of filler carbs. So I think it all works out. And they think that like it's OD so much. I was like, yo, chill out.
Yeah. And some people can't even wrap the burrito. And then they're like, let me just wrap it again. And it just is a mess and it falls apart. It's pretty entertaining. But the reason I'm asking this is because recently you told me that when you were younger, you had an eating disorder. And so just hearing about you talk about food right now actually means a lot different for me now than I previously even thought of it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to open up the floor and have you maybe talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I had a bad eating disorder. It's weird that I even call it that. It's like somebody who doesn't acknowledge something like traumatic, I guess, that they went through. Yeah,
which is why I was so surprised when you told me that the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, wait.
It's interesting though. I think, wow. It's kind of like connecting a lot of dots right now. What's interesting is that, so growing up, I don't know why, but I thought that I had a great childhood. Did a lot of really cool things with my mom. My mom was super loving, did so many activities with me. I had a lot of friends. But somewhere down the line between my adolescent age, I kind of I'd like to describe it as I just got hit with the worst sense of my emotions, because that's what puberty is. You get influxed with all of these new hormones and you don't know how to make sense of it. And I think, honestly, that's what happened. Who I turned out to be is this very pure, like alcohol, just very pure. I feel I am, with all my emotions and my passion and my anger and my sadness. I get very, very high and very, very low. And the first time experiencing that, I think for myself, I think it really hit me, and I didn't know how to control it. And it was just this crazy feeling of just sadness and anger. And I somehow didn't or wasn't able to talk about it, speak about it. And I started to, for whatever reason, just hold all that emotion in. And that turned into, I don't really know. I don't know how that turned into an eating disorder. I somehow, I just had to binge eat. I don't know why.
Maybe I'm not sure if it was maybe subtly kind of passed down to you. It was gradual.
Because
your mom does the same thing. Not necessarily binge, but she's a very emotional eater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's how I saw her deal with her emotions.
Oh, yeah.
She would just eat. And I must have been one of my mom's greatest friends.
Yeah, you guys
because
chilled
literally
so hard.
There were so many times that my best memory of my mom. Oh man.
Oh.
My best memory of my mom was the look on her face when I asked if we could order Ollie's. And she got so happy because it's she been wanting it and she just was just waiting for me to say it. And I just remember her saying, "Oh, all right, let's order Ollie's." And I'm like, "Can we watch a movie too?" And she was like, "Yes, let's watch a movie." And I just remember times of just me and her just chowing down on this fat. I would take all the white rice. She had these big bowls too. Take all the white rice and just dump it. I would just make this little rice cake right on top of my bowl, and I would just pour all the freaking broccoli and chicken all over that shit. And it would just be this huge pie looking thing of chicken and broccoli with white rice, and I would just eat the whole thing, and I would just feel great. My belly would be freaking stuffed. My mom would be freaking stuffed, and we just watched whatever movie because she would always do what I wanted. Yeah. So she would watch whatever movie I wanted to watch, and it would be cool because she'd be there. But then as I got older, I didn't really do that with my mom anymore. I kind of was hanging out with my friends, and so for whatever reason, maybe I closed up on my mom and I didn't really let her in. Mm-hmm. Maybe it stemmed on some communication issues that we had too growing up. My mom wasn't necessarily as communicative as she wanted, in the sense where I didn't feel like she understood me. And how
I think she did her best. I think what always happened is the understanding part.
Yeah.
And sometimes even recently she'll say it's okay, we have to agree to disagree, and you're kind of but I don't think you understand where I'm coming from. And so I think that's the harder part to kind of deal with, because you don't feel like somebody's even listening to you. You're just understanding that they have their own opinion and that's it. They didn't even hear you. They just put their foot down. And I think that's kind of where you guys didn't meet eye to eye.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking about, I was just thinking about why I truly love my mom. And I think that's why, even though she didn't understand me, she never gave up on me. Mm-hmm. And if I don't know what love is, if that's not love, I don't know what love is. Mm-hmm. And that's just how do you look at somebody and just, I don't understand where you're coming from. You're hurting my feelings, how you're being so upset at me, but I'm not going to give up on you. I'm not going to kick you out. I'm not going to disown you. You're not even my blood. You drive me crazy, but I'm not going to give up on you. And I guess maybe that's why I, was kind of so upset about one of my family members, kind of acting kind of what they did recently. Because I love my mom, and because I never gave up, she never gave up on me, you know, I wonder if the same could be said about this person's family. And the fact that they never gave up on them. And it's just kind of like a spit in my face, because I'm just like, you know, what this person is going through. I'm sorry I'm being very general, but what this person is going through is just so horrible. And it just, to see something that close to me, how this person is kind of being around this person, it scares me so much. You know what I mean? When you see something like, and it's so... Yeah,
somebody is not supporting somebody else in the way that they should be. And Sam's kind of frustrated because he doesn't understand like how his mom was so loving and caring, and
it scares me that we grew up together, and that's like their best friend. And with a best friend, I feel like comes a lot of similarities in who you guys are. And just like couples, I think when you guys are so close for such a long time, you kind of turn into each other a little bit, you know, because you're just all around each other. And so I'd have to think that she's just as loving and kind and loyal to this person, her, you know, her daughter, as my mom is to me. And the fact that she is doing that and I'm close to her, we are kind of similar in a way too, because we're product of two very similar people. I get scared that is that some of me in there too. Like, if my mom got sick, would I do that? And but the thought of how close she is to me scares me, that there's part of me that very well could not be, but because the relatability, that's why maybe I got so defensive, you know, maybe that's why I like kind of really like said my piece with this person, because I don't know.
I think also, like, not to put you on the spot too much, but I also feel like you really care about your mom's best friend a lot more than you really understand or think you do. Maybe this is only because of their relationship of this person kind of helping raise you, and this person is so similar to your mom in all these other ways too. Like they're opposites, but they're similar. It's very interesting. But I think that's kind of where you take offense.
They balance each other out, like any good human being connection, you know, if they're really good.
If you had a sibling, you know, and they disrespected your mom, this is literally how you would feel.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you're taking it so hard.
Yeah.
And so it's super understandable.
A lot of that does come out of protection. I was explaining that to her yesterday, actually.
Your mom?
Yeah, by saying the specific event, you know, told my mom the real reason that she really hurt me, because of the specific thing she was saying to my mom. And I saw holes in it, and it really hurt me because I don't like when my mom is misled. And I'm very sensitive about that because I care about her a lot. And so, yeah, I kind of said my piece to her.
Yeah.
Told her how I feel. But I don't know if it's good. I don't know.
I
wish I knew the future. Like,
yeah. I think the number one thing you taught me, because like really close when I got to New York, is exactly that. Is like you stop holding things in and say what you need to say in the moment and how you feel, and just be 100% honest with that, and know that the other person might not like that, but they will handle it and react accordingly, and how they react and how they handle it is not your business, because you're just simply being honest and telling your truth, being true to everything about yourself. And so I just have to think that, you know, that came from you. You taught me that, and I had to say goodbye to 2 friends when I got here to New York. They weren't doing anything for me. They were bringing me down. They were really hurting me than helping me in anything. And one of them I've known for a very, very long time, and the other, probably the same amount of time, very long friends. And this, I think, is hurting you a lot harder because this was like a sibling to you. And when you're saying said your piece,
You know why it's hurting me? Because I know that it's hurting my mom.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how loyal I am to her. That's how much respect I want to give her. That's how much love I want to show her.
It's a new era that you're walking into, I think,
Yeah.
especially not living with your mom anymore. You know,
Yeah.
you guys are learning how to communicate better. I feel like your talks are a lot easier. Not easier, but
It's
there's
hard.
not as much.
She's stubborn a little.
Yeah.
And she, for whatever reason, she takes a little time to understand things, and it takes, I need to learn more patience. I know that I can have a better conversation with my mom. Patience with her is oddly short. I don't know why necessarily. I just sometimes get a little impatient with her, and very self-inflicting wound when that happens because I feel terrible, and I'm just in this time in my life where I just don't want to hurt anybody, and I just want to be a supporting person in somebody's life who wants to be in mine and who shows me love. And it's a very complicated feelings. I don't really know what to make of any of it, but sorry guys, I'm just kind of like,
It's okay.
just spitballing my thoughts right now.
Yeah.
But just have a lot of feelings. I don't know why. But yeah, it's just very complicated. And I don't know where it will lead me, but all I know is that I just want to try and do good and just try and be a force of good in people's lives who care about me. That's all.
Yeah. I think that what you just said was really important. You want to be involved in people's lives, who want you in their lives, who care enough, who will put their foot down, who will say like, hey, like, wait, let's figure this out. Let's do whatever it takes because, like, I want to be in your life. So it's hard when sometimes you expect people to do that and they don't. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
Going back to Ollie's a little bit. Ollie's is a Chinese place in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
It's not I don't know if it's a nationwide thing. I never heard of it till I
Whoa,
got
we
here.
went really off track. I'm so sorry about that.
No.
I just remembered because, yeah.
No, this was really good because we're kind of getting into detail about like how emotional you are when it comes to your mom. And we're talking about emotions. We're talking about eating. We're talking about those things are very linked. And like I was kind of thinking about earlier was when COVID happened and we were ordering out we were ordering out every single
That was
day.
the shit.
And
That
it
was
was with your mom and we were having like hamburgers every night.
that was the fun. Honestly, I look back on that and I was one of the highlights of my 20s, honestly. Just, hanging out with you and my mom, two most important people in my life. And it was summer and I don't know how you felt, but I finally felt like I could just socially have it be socially acceptable for me to just not hang out with anybody.
Yeah.
just be a hermit and just,
And just eat out every day and
Yeah.
just chill. And me and your mom would drink. And
it felt a little bit like being a kid again,
Yeah.
Just
we'd
home 'cause
always have our meals together.
Yeah.
You guys would always be making coffee in the morning together.
I think maybe that's why, because I would always be like, hey, Ma, I'm thinking about a hamburger. What do you think? And she just like gave me that same grin, just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to double down on that. and she's like, I'm not really hungry, but you know what? I could use a burger too. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have to just convince Megan. And you're always like, fine. You're like, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it was good times. I liked it.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that you guys both kind of have that in common, emotional eating. I remember when her friend came over and had kind of got kicked out. She was supposed to stay with us, but weird circumstances happened and we had to tell her to leave. And where did we go right after? We had to kick her out of our house.
New Wave Cafe.
Yeah.
See, that's another reason why I really love my mom is that she, it might take her some time, but in the end, she always understands and she always somehow shows me in some form of or another that she's got my back, and I don't forget that. I was talking to her a little bit about how in a certain event affected you.
Just say it. I don't know what it was.
Thanksgiving or Rosh Hashanah brunch, when my mom does a thing where she invites all of her close friends and family.
But we weren't invited.
Yeah, but you specifically, because to me it didn't really. I used to it, but but it was all women's, and you weren't invited.
And the problem with that, in my opinion, was just it's a different family dynamic, right? Like my family, they do everything together. So when I was living with my family, it's like we're out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Like it's a whole thing. We're not gonna if my mom and dad like did a friends thing, like I'd always be invited to it. So when she had like this girls' day kind of thing, and then not only that, she invited other family members who were girls, and I'm just like, damn, like me and Maya didn't even get invited, like. And also, I'm sorry that I know it's a girls thing, but if I had a kid, you're going to everything with me because, like, I love you, I appreciate you, I want you there, I want you in my life, and it's just a difference. It's just different.
And that's kind of why you bringing that up with me, it really hurt me, because I don't give a crap about me. What hurt me was that it was a girls' day, and forget me, but I was upset at my mom because for the first time in my life, there is for the second time, but excuse my for a second, there's someone in my life who's just as important as my mom. And it hurt me because I felt symbolically like my mom wasn't accepting you. And to me, that's why I bring it up to my mom. And more recently using that as an analogy for certain things that I was expressing to my mom about something else. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like she was thinking about that prior to me bringing it up, because she might have not agreed at the time on the things that I was initially calling her for, but I felt in her voice that conversation that she truly, and I'm very rare, but I know that she messed up. And what's funny is that moment kind of let me put my foot off the gas a little bit in terms of going so intensely with trying to get my initiative like explained to her for another topic. Mm-hmm. But because I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, yeah, so like it's things like this. And she was just like, in her mind, wow, I can't even vocalize her
maybe understanding.
Yeah, or no, how she was saying it, but okay. she was like, huh, yeah, I really messed up on that one. Like, her voice when she, is,
you can tell when somebody's really getting kind of emotional about things and really understanding and feeling like empathy.
Yeah, and I had also told her too about what you had brought up with Maya and how she wanted Maya to come over after it was
After.
done.
She wanted us to all come over afterwards, and that kind of bothered me because it was like, okay, now I want to show you guys. I don't want you guys to be a part of this whole like family friend thing, but I do want to show off Maya and like my family after it's all done. And like,
Yeah.
here's the thing, like it bothered me, but I also had to kind of be understanding that you were raised very separate from your mom and her friends, so you didn't go and do things with them.
But this is the first time that, minus Maya, obviously, because
Yeah.
I can just understand the adolescence mindset, because that's at least how I was growing up. Like, well, we can only get so far.
Yeah.
But as an adult,
Yeah.
and as for the first time ever, the actual acknowledgement of a mindset of a family member,
Yeah.
I felt as though, it's time, in my mind. So that's maybe why also I took it so personally, and why she didn't acknowledge it necessarily either, which is
Yeah.
maybe why she felt bad, which is
And probably
the
'cause we get-
acceptance of a family, another
Yeah.
family member,
Yeah.
because that would be her acknowledging how adult I am,
Mm-hmm.
and how the dynamic is kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because like I get grouped probably in this kind of, well, I have a kid kind of thing. She thinks you're still a kid. Well, you still are her kid and will always be her baby. But like
Yeah, I
I
know
get
what you
grouped in that analogy of like, oh, those are the kids. This is like an adult dinner. Those are the kids, and I totally understand that, which is why like I had really big feelings about it, but they came and went, and I didn't hold a grudge on it or anything, but it bothered me for a minute, and even like sometimes when I first got here, she'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the farmer's market with my friend on Sunday, and it's gonna be great." And I'd just be like, like, damn, why aren't you inviting us? Because my family went to the farmer's markets on Sundays too, and so like that shit like hurt. Oh my god, I'm getting like emotional. That shit hurt my feelings because I'm like, yo, you don't want like us to come with like, because like my family does that all the time. We go together, and not having my family here, and just feeling like I'm not, don't get me wrong. You guys don't make me feel like I'm not a part of a family. And my family's fucked up in their own ways. But what I love about my family is that they still are always down to be together. They're always down to be together. And we will go to the fucking flea market an hour away and just look at junk together. We will go look at Christmas lights for hours together.
And that's kind of maybe why things have actually been slowly changing with like me and my mom, because of this new idea of what a family can be.
And I guess you guys never really
never
had
had that. So
family.
these
Yeah.
potentially could be just crazy growing pains,
Yeah, I guess I never thought of that.
because it's kind of spreading out even further potentially than your waves are spreading.
Yeah.
There are ripples now, which is good. I
Yeah.
think it's good, because I think that maybe we did get too far away from each other as this side of, my side of the family. And maybe this is a good thing, being able to reconnect with family and to let family know that certain things might have been okay for like 30 years, but maybe it's not okay now. Maybe it shouldn't be okay now. Maybe it's time that we reassess how we do things to a certain extent. And maybe I'm not having a conversation explaining that, but maybe I'm doing it through
But
my
maybe
actions.
we will too, because like sometimes it bothers me, that Maya's not really well adapt to go out to eat sometimes. Not saying she has to be this proper little pristine kid just sitting there not doing anything, but until recently it just seemed like she had no table manners. She doesn't know how to kind of act when you go out in public and sit down at a table. And I guess like for a few years we're hermits. We don't really go out that much.
Speaking of table manners, what I was thinking about when I was in Disney World with my mom, Ellie, and Lucy, and I had my elbows on the table.
Oh shit.
And this guy who brought out food was saying how because I think I was eating my hamburger with my elbows on the table, just like,
Yeah.
just looking at her. And the guy who's bringing over more drinks said, completely surprised me, and said, "Hey, you shouldn't have your elbows off on the table. It's rude." And the way that he said that, he was joking, but he caught me off guard so bad, and it was like getting caught red-handed.
Yeah.
And the fact that like Lucy and my mom doubled down on that made me feel so bad. And Ellie was just like, "I'm happy I don't have it on the table," because she didn't at the time. And I was just like,
Good for you.
it scarred me. Like, that's the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
It hurt me really bad.
That I'll never forget when
it was a half tube table, so I could see my mom and
on the other side.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God.
And that's like, I'll never forget when I heard that my first time too. And also, don't chew with your mouth open. No, like, elbows on the table. Like, always use your manners when it comes to, like, thank you, whatever. No, thank you, when you're asking for something, or be polite. Don't speak over somebody, because how my mom was raised was, you don't speak until you're being spoke to. And she said that's how they were raised. And so it was a bit more strict. So then seeing Maya, like, I guess because I was just kind of raised with that in the very beginning, and seeing Maya kind of like still learning these things, I was
I
like,
got scolded with sucking my teeth. Never forget that. My babysitter was just...
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's like...
While you were eating,
he's like,
or what?
No, he's like, go clean your room. And I'm like... Not knowing how disrespectful it was.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And he said, I'll never forget that. He said, "Don't suck your teeth at me." With that Puerto Rican accent. I was shook.
Maya did that one time.
Shook. Yeah.
I was caught off guard.
Yeah. What?
I was caught off guard. I was like, "What'd you just do?" She's like, "No, I didn't mean to."
She probably got called out too horribly.
Yeah, but, whew. Yeah, it's life is so interesting in where it takes you and things like that, because one time we're talking about food, and the next we're talking about emotional damage.
I mean, if you want to talk about like how something similar about feeling called out during my binge eating, when it started to get really bad, my doorman actually called me out. He said, "You gotta stop." He's a smaller dude, very skinny, very fit, and I remember I was
at the time he was fit.
Yeah,
Does
we don't
his name
know him
start with a
anymore.
W?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
No, that's why. No, he doesn't work there anymore.
Okay.
And I remember coming home with my daily McDonald's bag, which consisted of a double quarter pounder with cheese, a large French fries, 3 chocolate chip cookies, and a large high C orange. That was my go-to meal.
Like after school every day?
Yeah. Well, it was definitely the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely the weekends. That was literally my favorite thing to do. I would get that meal that I just described, and then I would come home and I'd have this little food tray, and I would take it out and I would put all my stuff on the table. I would look at it. I would admire it. And then I would turn on my TV in my room, and I would watch the 8 p.m. sci-fi special that was on of the movie of the week that they would always broadcast. Mm-hmm. And they say, da-da-da-da-da, Firestarter, premiering tonight at 8 p.m. And I was like, yeah.
Wait, so what the doorman say to you?
Anyways, okay, so what I remember one day coming home, it was one of those Saturday afternoons, late afternoons, and he said, "Hey, you better stop eating that McDonald's. You're gonna get fat, man." And I was like, damn, yo, that hurt me. So I just was so caught off guard, because I had prior known potentially like I was putting on some weight, but I was like, oh, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I think somebody ever called me out for my weight. And since then, I got so shook that every time I went out, I would bring a backpack. So I would get my order and I would put it in my backpack. So I knew no matter where I went, no one would call me out.
Yeah. When were you brought to the doctor with a potential diagnosis because of eating?
When
This was before 13, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I think it was after.
Was it after? After I met you? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to like go through that a little bit? Like what happened? What led to that maybe?
I was gaining a lot more weight, and my mom called me out a few times too, where she was expressing that she was really concerned because I was eating so dang much. And I think because all my adolescent hormones were hitting hard, on top of the just kind of like binge eating my feelings, I was, having feelings of just sadness.
And this isn't just regular like sadness. I remember talking to your mom's friend recently at a gathering, and they said that they walked into your room one time to say hi because they came over, and you were laying on your bed and your hands were crossed over your belly and you were just looking up at your ceiling, and you didn't even recognize that they were there because you were looking. You were just so lost and you were just so depressed.
Yeah, I remember a lot of wild feelings. It was so interesting. It was just like a wave of feelings, and I just could not seem to get out of it. And I clung on to the one thing that gave me comfort, which was the memory of seeing potentially unknowingly, subconsciously seeing my mom. Well, seeing my mom, but not remembering that I was seeing my mom eat to find happiness. And I think coupled with that uncontrollable emotional waves that I was hitting in terms of me feeling these feelings and me wanting to feel happy, it started to snowball into this huge, and taking any kind of criticism started to snowball into this huge eating habit of just binge eating.
So would you not eat during the day then?
No,
and just
I
come
would.
home?
I was
just all day binge eating all the time. It wasn't just one time. Nighttime
I would try my best to not eat breakfast so I could, eat a bigger meal later, but it would be OD.
Yeah.
And there was one. I just remember there was this one winter too. It was winter break, and I would go OD. I'd order grilled cheese, chips, cakes. Gatorade I loved Gatorade.
Cakes plural, like pieces of cake.
Yeah, because a cookie and a cake. The grandma's cookies. What is that?
Oh yeah, those are great.
And those Entenmann cakes that come in plastic wrap.
Okay.
That have
the smaller ones.
Yeah, those squares.
Yeah.
Oh man, those are so good. And I would eat that, and then for lunch I would have like 2 slices of pizza. Nothing overkill, but very calorie dense.
So this is one meal. You had a grilled cheese.
That for breakfast.
Oh, for breakfast.
I get a bacon, egg, and cheese and a grilled cheese at the same time.
For breakfast.
And then I would go over to my friend Saul's house, and we'd play video games all day. And then it would get really hot out, and I'd want to go get pizza, and he'd walk with me to get pizza. You know that pizzeria?
Right down the street?
He used to live on 80th Street. Oh. When Saul lived on 80th Street, he lived on 80th Street for like 5 years.
Oh.
When he lived on, it's funny because while his building was getting renovated, while he lived on 80th Street, I would literally go over to his house every single day. Anyways. There was one time where we literally didn't do anything, and he was completely fucking
Oh, I thought you had a memory, and then you're like, no, I'm not going to say it or something.
No, that's what it was.
I was like sitting here waiting
because I was remembering
shit,
every day at Saul's house, and then I was saying that like we were like super close because I remember like I would just come over, and very much like Maya, if Maya had a friend, like she would always say like, hey, you want to hang out, like and I would always come over, and he used to get very attached to things. So he got there was this era where it was a few weeks, and he was just completely addicted to World of Warcraft. And I remember I used to get you know, back when kids spoke their mind more and just being like, hey, fuckhead, you know? You know, truly, you know,
Yeah.
say how they
Like,
feel. Because I was just
definitely
like,
a New York thing.
yeah, I was like, dude, are you going to play this fucking game all day?
Yeah.
Come on, let's hang out. And he actually would get mad at me. He'd be like, bro, I'm playing this fucking game. Don't you understand? Like, I'm playing a game, dude. I don't want to go outside. And I'm like, bro, come on, yo. Let's work out. Let's, you know, fucking play basketball or like play football. He's like, dude, I don't want to play. If you want to play, go play. Go then. Like, I don't want to play. And I'd be like, oh, fine. And sometimes I would have my laptop as a backup, and sometimes I'd actually go home and get my laptop and come back and try to attempt. I was never good at World of Warcraft because the idea of it was open world. It was one of the first open world games, and it was just too overwhelming for me. The world was too big. There were too many things that you could potentially do. It was literally like playing with your life.
He's tight.
Why?
Oreo wants he wants you to wrap him in the blanket.
Oh my god.
You growling. Sam's taking an intermission.
Sorry.
My mom like called me and she's like, "What time are you gonna be done with the podcast?" I'm like, "I don't know what's going on."
Ooh.
My mom.
Oh. Well, we can wrap it up soon. I just.
Nah, if that's what I was just doing, looking down.
Yeah. No.
My face was like all smushed. I'm like, "What's?" Oh, it's time to open gifts. Well, like I'm not opening any gifts until Maya's here.
Yeah. Tell her that's all right.
Yeah. We're not opening gifts till Maya's here. Sorry. Sidetrack. All right, then back to like when you went to the appointment. What did the doctor tell you? Like, what kind of test did they run on you or anything?
I went to a specialist. A specialist doctor dealt with weights in kids, and it was a woman, and I believe she was doing an examination, and I think she gave me a blood test and was like looking at me, and she had told me that she was very concerned. I'd never forget this. She was very concerned because she saw this dark discoloration on the back of my neck. Mm-hmm. And said that is the precursors and the beginning of being borderline diabetic, when you have somehow this shading on the back of your neck.
I remember that.
And she was like, this is very serious. If you continue the way that you're eating, you're going to be diabetic. And it kind of that was the peak though, because shortly after that I ended up going to that camp.
Okay.
And it was not fat camp, you motherfuckers. It was outward bound camp, more specifically to deal with just troubling issues that you're going through, addiction, I guess, of any kind, right? Mm-hmm. And
did you ever think that you had an addiction when you were younger?
No.
Was that ever present? Was that a recent thing that you realized that you had?
Because there was never a word for it. It was always like anorexia. But I don't think it was truly ever talked about during the early 2000s about obesity. Like true. You know why? Because literally that's what happened. There was a time where McDonald's was king of the world when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And then slowly in maybe the 2008, 2009s, they started to realize how harmful it was. And that's when Super Size Me came out, because I was in high school almost when that movie came out. I mean, we can check the date on Super Size Me, but that would be the first time ever that the United States has ever acknowledged that the fast food corporations, just like smoking, it was bad for you. So because nobody acknowledged it per se, but they saw that obviously it was a health problem of mine, I was getting fat. It was this chatter talk for me. Like anorexia was something different because it's not driven by food per se. It is, but it isn't, right? Because you couldn't say like that gave my son anorexia. McDonald's. No.
Yeah, that
No
makes sense.
corporation could be blamed on anorexia.
Right.
But this is the first time that you have scientific proof that you could blame obesity and in kids based on that specific food, like processed food and fast food.
Right.
And sodas and stuff. And so all these studies, I guess, were coming out after it, which is why there were potential like words and ideas that were associated later on in life.
Yeah.
And I guess looking back, I was like, wow, I guess, I did have a binge eating problem. Yeah. Now it's like, totally understood. I think, you have a binge eating problem. I think you have a problem with food, or I think all of these things. It's like such a well-known fact that McDonald's is not good for you.
Right.
And getting help and mental help is so important for somebody. Mm-hmm. And all these stories that are out there and all these, success stories and even because of this weight problem, you saw things like the gym that truly started to get bigger. These health fads, veganism fads, started to become more popular because I felt like people were looking for better, healthier alternatives because of all this information that was influxed and inundated with society. Isn't that really interesting then? Yeah. Because, people are looking at more home remedies. Like it was the rejection of the idea of fast food and mass goods like Wonder Bread, like all of these processed foods that used to be the king of everything, like low prices, everything, instant meal, like Hungry Man, kids cuisine. Now those things are like, ew, I'll never give my kid,
Yeah.
And it's just crazy because now all these new families are popping up. Like my kid's only on we limit meat, we limit processed food. Like that's a given.
Yeah.
To think that wasn't a given.
Now there's like, it was funny because recently I look at Maya's lunch menu sometimes just to see what she loves.
Perfect example.
Exactly. She loves eating like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are her thing right now. And when I was younger, like I wouldn't get caught dead bringing my own lunch. I'm definitely going to have that school lunch.
And that shit was like pizza and fucking chocolate milk and shit.
It was stuffed crust, cheesy.
Oh my God. And the Midwest was even worse because you see documentaries on like some high schools there. Their shit is like legit junk food. Like it's wild. They have vegan options for children.
Yeah, they have vegan options now.
Man.
This what was it, a few days ago? I think it was like veggie nuggets. And I was like, wait. Did I read that right?
To think there are 8-year-old, 6-year-old kids that are vegan. Or vegetarian. Like, Mom, I don't want to eat meat. Like, what? Like,
yeah, back then that was like the most, especially in the Midwest, it was like not, well, and it still is not really accepted.
So fast.
Like when I go over there and I'm like maybe feeling a certain way, like more tired or something, my grandpa will be like, yeah, maybe it's because you need to eat meat. I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, it's probably because you're not eating enough meat. And it's just a common thing to say. So it's just really funny. Not everybody's, I'm sure, like that, but
yeah, but just like going back to it, it's like I never knew necessarily what it was, and I guess I had genuine good reason to. There wasn't that much information out there to a certain extent.
So then after camp, though, were you in camp? You didn't have any of those options. Like, what were you eating at in camp?
They gave me a bag that I had to ration throughout the week, and that consisted of like trail mix. It wasn't necessarily the best, but it was definitely a calorie limiter. So it was Chex Mix, granola, a jar of peanut butter, a pack of tortillas, one condensed cheese that doesn't go bad in the without a fridge.
Because you were eating outside. Everything was outside.
3 packets, 1 packet or two 1 or 2 packets of hot chocolate mix, 2 packets of tea, salt and pepper, and a pepperoni stick. And it was kind of like prison. We just had to learn how to reinvent certain things. For instance, I learned all these new tricks to a certain extent. Like if you want more diversity, you can use your peanut butter throughout the week. And on Wednesday, whenever your peanut butter is half full, you pour half of your Swiss hot chocolate into it, and it creates this kind of Reese's peanut butter kind of paste, and it tastes great. And you roll it up in a tortilla and eat it. It's like a great different variety. It's like you're eating a Reese's, and it tasted great. And for instance, once you start to learn how to make a fire, you can get a tortilla and put cheese on your tortilla and put your meat on it, and then and cook, and then create
pizza.
a fire. And literally create a pizza. And I did it one time because you can only, when you create, as you level up, you get more and more access to things like prison, where you do good, so you get rewarded. And one of those rewards was being able to eat with everybody.
Okay.
Because when you start off, which is funny because that's how prison works. When you start off in prison, to a certain extent, you could be isolated.
Yeah.
And you're in this quarantine zone. And until you prove yourself, then you maybe get access to like the main building with all the prisoners or the less violent prisoners.
Yeah.
And then if you do even better, you get outside time where you can be outside with, instead of like inside or something. And so that's kind of how it was. The higher I got, I could be with I could talk. Oh, that was one of the things during your meals. If you were in your that phase, you can't talk. You have to eat your meals by yourself.
Okay.
In far away from the camp. Oh. And you could. It was far enough that you can't hear them. It was far enough that you can't really hear them.
Yeah.
But close enough that you could hear them but you couldn't hear what they were saying. You hear words and stuff coming in and out, but you couldn't hear. And they could see you. You could see them.
But then after camp, were you able to maintain your weight that you had lost? Because I'm sure you lost a lot of weight.
I lost a lot of weight, and I've rebounded a little. I gained a little bit of weight back, and then I think that was a turning point for me when I realized that I was getting some of the weight back that I really needed to make a change. And that was also, it was nice because I was able to, and that's when I started to turn to veganism, is when I was really trying to get back to a healthier eating lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And
it wasn't just vegan, it was raw vegan.
Yeah. Because
you want to talk about what that is?
I gained weight back, and then I was kind of like slowly though, but I did. And I remember senior year, I was a little chubby, and I got very scared of that. And like mid freshman year of high school was, and because of the stabilization, I also think of my hormones from puberty. I think between that and just wanting that change, I ended up finally coming to a cool thing where I ended up turning into like a fitness person. That was when I started first ever truly started to run very long distances. And then I caught on to just trying to be more vegan and trying to vegan lifestyle. And it really helped me because it really dropped my weight super, super crazy. And my mom,
so skinny.
And my mom caught on, and she started doing it too. And she dropped a lot of weight, a lot of weight. And I got, really skinny. But then I didn't necessarily want to be that skinny anymore. I actually wanted to
bulk up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the minutes, I remember I was teetering, and I decided, damn, I want, it's too expensive.
To be vegan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I would really like try and do everything right, try and like just get as much organic stuff as I could.
And being a raw vegan, you're not cooking anything.
Yeah, I want to, have expensive goji berries and, all these fucking shit I was violating. And I was like, yo, I can't do this anymore. So yeah, but by then I was able to, I think, have that much like understanding of my weight down and my ability to kind of slowly get back, because this would be the first time I would be getting back into meat since I kind of like honestly like was not going in that direction.
Not getting weight, you mean?
Well, gaining weight again. Remember when I relapsed
Yeah.
kind of, and I rebounded, and it was kind of my freshman year when I was kind of getting a little fat, and I was like, oh, no. And then I slowly kind of curved that into veganism running for a long period of time until the first time I realized that I wanted to gain more weight and put on muscle. And then that's the first time that I was ever going to eat meat again since the time that I relapsed.
Oh,
so that's why it was so like monumental for me, because I was terrified of relapsing again potentially. Yeah. But then I was okay, because I guess that muscle memory kicked in of just being on that consistent diet and knowing my stomach shrinking for such a long period of time, where it was a lot harder to stretch again physically. And I think because of that, I was able to maintain the weight. And the longer I got from there, the more I was able to understand my body. And as my body started to stabilize from my hormones, even more so as I got a little bit older into my like mid 20s, then it finally was just like, I think I'm okay. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
I don't think I could potentially really truly get to that place, because I'm too aware of myself and my emotions, that I don't think I'll be able to get that deep or far up. Maybe, knock on wood, but.
And I think also just going to the gym became such a serious ritual thing. And it wasn't like, you are not okay unless you go to the gym every day. And I didn't really understand that when I was visiting or when I was, started living here in the beginning. And not until recently when you brought that up, you kind of explained it, you kind of broke it down of like why it's so important, why you're still so scared of relapsing and having that problem. And
I guess it is like an addiction, right? Mentality, right? Because at any day you could potentially go back to that place.
And I think sometimes you teeter, you're very careful in what you eat. So even when we started talking a little bit about in the very beginning, and you were talking about about the chicken breast, you were very spot on. You're very close to, the macros.
Because that's another avenue. Not only was I vegan, as I transitioned into meat, that was my kind of, thank you for bringing that up, because that was one of the blueprints to how I was also physically able to control what I was eating. Because I started to look into the macros and started to figure out how many calories I should be eating and what is the variety of calories that can change somebody's weight based on, 2,500 calories is different when 10% of that 2,500 calories is just protein, compared to 40% of that 2,500 calories, same 2,500 calories, two different diets. Mm-hmm. One of them is like almost a quarter more protein than the other one. How much difference that can be between somebody being held over the day and somebody needing to snack more because they don't have that protein source to hold them down. Mm-hmm. And my understanding of those numbers helped me not overdo it. Yeah. Because I can say, okay, well, 2 of those cookies are like 150 calories. Mm-hmm. That's 300 calories I'd go over. What's, an alternative that could hold me over? Mm-hmm. And doing that too really helped me. So now when my memory now is like, okay, if like I've weighed it, because I got to weigh it. That's the only way you can truly count your macros, right? You need to get a food scale. I was weighing all my food all the time. And so even sometimes when I would weigh it. And that's how I started to understand too, like serving sizes. So I wouldn't even need to use the scale anymore, which is why I say which is why I was able to give you that, ballpark
number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was nice because, and I'm not sure if you still do this, but use like MyFitnessPal to put in your macros.
Yeah. Only way to keep it down that, your phone's always with you. You're not going to bring your pad and paper with you, so that was always nice. Entering my calories that I burned, equaling out to more food I could eat.
Yeah.
It was like a game a little bit with me. It made things easier.
Yeah. And when you go to the gym, you don't just do some like lollygag bullshit workout. Like your cardio is very intense.
Yeah. And which is interesting now because I'm able to, which is interesting now because I'm in a different phase of my life. Because now I don't need to burn as many calories as I maybe had once done.
It's the creatine.
No, but not even. It's been a few years that that's happened because I can literally eat so much and not like, I used to burn on average 800 to 1,000 calories every time I went to the gym.
Yeah.
But now I don't. Now I honestly, on average, burn between 150 to 250 calories on the elliptical. And I like, and it's strange.
And you're able to maintain.
Yeah.
And be okay.
And that's what I was talking about, the different stage of my life.
Yeah.
Because my body is literally, I think, changing. I've gone such a long. That's what they say with. I literally was watching a TikTok about weight training, and a gym trainer saying to everyone who's new, listen, anyone who started to go for the gym for 6 months is not going to put on as much weight as you see those like classic physique bodybuilders, not the pro ones, not the steroid guys, but the ones that are just very lean and stuff, like Arnold in the beginning. Like that right there, when you see guys like that, that's a decade and a half worth of working out. That is muscle built on muscle, built on muscle, built on muscle, built on muscle for so long that their muscles, and that's why you see a little bit of a more of a man with really shredded muscles, like really shredded, because and it also, the earlier you start, you know, say I started when I was 13 lifting weights, and that's all I did. I didn't do music. I just lifted weights, or maybe not 13, but like 16. By the time I was 25, my muscles could be as toned as my age now. Like I could, you know what I mean? Like the time lapse between when you start, it'll eventually, you lift enough weight, you know, it starts to actually like look more defined, and it becomes more bigger by default, and it gets more chiseled, and your muscles get more defined. So therefore, maybe it's not I don't need to be there as long, because my body has been literally under there's so much mileage in the tank that it can literally use a lot less but get a lot more from it. I don't know how that means.
It's just funny watching you right now, because you're like acting like you're lifting weights.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like my words and my expression and my explanation. But yeah, it's just interesting.
It is. And it's nice because it makes me understand where you're coming from when you are like, I have to go to the gym. In my head, I'm like, yeah, you don't have to go. But like, I've never really questioned that, because you're very like fierce about going. You're very dedicated. You're very adamant that like you're going. So you're going, and we always have to work around it, whether we're in, you know, vacation or in Minnesota. Like we are there at the gym on the first day, and we are trying to figure out membership. I'm like, we're here for a week. How much is that going to be? And it's really nice because where my parents are, there's a gym like a few, I was going to say blocks, like maybe a mile away. And we just drive up there, and we're there for like an hour and a half.
And I like it because it's like, I guess when you think about it, it's like work hard, play hard. I have to work somehow, right? I can't just play all the time, which is interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's healthy. It's not like you went from one addiction to another, so to speak. I mean, you are very, you know, dedicated to what you're eating, and you're very conscious, and you're very aware of your body. So it is nice to see that you kind of broke that cycle.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit scary, I guess, for Maya. Like a year ago, before she went into camp, she was getting a little bit bigger, and I was kind of getting worried because she hadn't, at the school prior, she didn't have any gym. So I was like, oh, what are we gonna
she's very different than me, which is interesting, because when I was a kid, her age, there was no problem with my weight, because I was doing everything all the time.
Yeah. It's different now. Yeah.
A lot more reasons to stay home, to be honest, and be on your iPad and online game, and you know, you FaceTime your friends. I couldn't FaceTime my friends. If I could FaceTime my friends when I was in high school, I don't even it's a world difference now. It's crazy. I don't even want to talk about it. But anyways, speaking of food and eating, I'm freaking hungry. Starving. Me
too. We went out, or I went out and got us some food right before, and it's just been staring us in the face. So we're gonna wrap this up and
so yeah,
watch the Raider game.
Yep. Got a quick dive of my eating addiction. Shit's real, people. Real problems, scary problems, but
and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more down the line, because I mean, this is a very new thing.
Yeah.
You know, we might have more revelations of where this came from, where it's going.
Yeah,
how you're
definitely.
doing.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that.
And Merry Christmas and
Yes,
Happy Holidays
happy
to everybody.
holidays.
This is Christmas Eve today, but this will be released on Monday. So hope everybody's family isn't driving them too crazy and all the fights are resolved.
Yep.
And craziness isn't. Hope everybody's having good food. And just a good time, overall a good time. So we will catch up with you again next week.
All right. Take care. Oops. Bye-bye.